People feared the injured wolf, until the ranger recognized the woman's tattoo. There are forests that whisper, and there are forests that listen. Black Ash Ridge was the second kind, a stretch of wilderness where the wind carried secrets, and even the trees seemed to lean inward, as though afraid to disturb whatever tragedy had settled beneath their branches. Just after dawn, a low, trembling howl rolled across the undergrowth. Not a warning, not a hunt. A cry soaked in pain. Birds scattered, squirrels froze mid-branch. Even the river slowed its song as if every living thing understood something was terribly wrong. Then came the voices, human voices, sharp, panicked, frightened. "Stay back! That wolf's dangerous. Look at the blood, he's dying but still wild. Someone call the ranger, don't go near it." Boots scraped over gravel, twigs snapped. A frightened crowd gathered on the edge of the old logging trail, forming a trembling half-circle. At the center of it, a wolf, massive, silver-backed, once powerful, now barely holding himself upright. His right foreleg bent at an impossible angle, fur matted with dirt and blood. Each breath rattled like broken glass. He didn't growl. He didn't have the strength. But his eyes were wide with terror, not fear of the people, fear of something else, something deeper in the woods, something no one else had seen. A man in a red jacket stepped forward, puffing his chest. "Anyone who goes near that thing is insane. A wounded wolf is worse than a healthy one. I'm not risking my life." A woman beside him snorted. "Why are we even waiting? Let the rangers handle it. That animal is finished." Someone laughed nervously, trying to hide their fear. Maybe it attacked someone and got what it deserved. The words hit the wolf like a blade. His ears pressed down, his body trembled. He wasn't a monster. He was just hurt. But the crowd only saw teeth and stories they'd been raised on. No one stepped forward. No one wanted to help. They kept their distance like he carried a curse. A teenager tried to inch closer, but an older woman yanked him back. "Are you out of your mind? Wolves like that tear people apart. Let it die quietly." The forest echoed with murmurs. Fear, judgment, cowardice, no compassion, no understanding. Just a ring of humans, too afraid to see an animal in pain instead of a threat. Minutes stretched into an uncomfortable eternity. The wolf collapsed fully onto his side, chest heaving. The metallic scent of blood thickened the air. Even the wind stopped. The forest truly went silent. Someone said, "Rangers better hurry. If it gets up, we run." Another whispered, "What if this is a trap? What if more wolves are watching?" Fear bloomed like wildfire. The arguments escalated. "I say we chase it deeper into the forest." "Are you stupid? It'll attack." No, we should wait. We've been waiting." Voices overlapped, sharp with panic. Two men shoved each other. Someone yelled. Someone else threatened to leave. The wolf lifted his head at the noise, flinching at every shout. His ears twitched desperately, searching for something. Anyone that didn't sound like anger. Then, soft footsteps. Not rushed, not fearful. Measured, calm. A woman walked out from the fog-thin morning mist, and the arguing stopped. She wore a faded olive jacket, mud-splattered boots, and a hood pulled low over her eyes. Her face was shadowed, but her walk, steady, confident, unhurried, was enough to make the crowd instinctively step back. Hey, stop right there," a man shouted. "Are you crazy? That wolf is dangerous." She didn't answer. She simply kept walking. Her boots brushed through the dead leaves with a soft whisper, a sound so gentle it contrasted violently with the tension suffocating the clearing. A woman grabbed her arm. "You'll get yourself killed. Didn't you hear us? That thing will bite." Still, the stranger walked forward, slow, deliberate, almost tender, like someone approaching an old friend, not a wounded predator. The crowd erupted. "Are you deaf? "Lady, stop! This is suicidal." But she didn't break stride. Her voice, when it finally came, was quiet. "He's scared, not dangerous." Her words sliced through the noise, not loud, but powerful enough to silence every argument. People stared at her like she was mad. The wolf, however, lifted his head. His trembling eased, just slightly, as if he recognized something in her presence. A sharp whistle cut through the tension. A tall man in ranger uniform jogged up the path, badge gleaming on his chest, breath fogging in the cold air. Ranger Holt, the most experienced wildlife officer on Black Ash Ridge. He took one look at the wolf and grimaced. Damn, that's a bad break. Then he saw her, the woman standing dangerously close to a wounded apex predator. What the... Who allowed her past the crowd? Ma'am, move back. Now that wolf could lash out without warning. The crowd nodded vigorously. Tell her. She won't listen. She's insane. Ranger Holt approached her with firm authority. Listen, miss, I don't want to drag you out of here, but I will if I have to, for your safety. She finally lifted her head, and Holt froze. His eyes dropped to her wrist, where the sleeve of her jacket had shifted just enough to reveal something inked into her skin. A tattoo, a symbol rarely seen in public, a symbol everyone in the Wildlife Service recognized, but almost no civilians knew. Ranger Holt stepped back in shock. "You," he whispered. "You can't be." The woman finally met his eyes. Her voice was soft, but carried a quiet steel. "Let me through, Holt." The crowd stared, confused and terrified. "What's happening? Who is she? Why did the ranger freeze like that? Is she some kind of agent?" The forest held its breath again. Ranger Holt swallowed hard, his entire posture shifting from authority to respect. "Everyone," he said loudly, voice trembling, "move back. All of you. Now." People stumbled backward, murmuring anxiously. What's going on? Why is he listening to her? Who is this woman? The stranger knelt near the dying wolf, slow and careful. The wolf didn't snarl, didn't flinch. He only watched her, with something like hope. Her fingers hovered inches above his fur. Then she whispered something so soft, only the wolf and the forest heard it. Ranger Holt stepped closer, voice barely above a breath. "Ma'am, I didn't know the Tattoo Corps ever came this far north." A collective gasp rippled through the crowd. The woman didn't look up. Her hand finally touched the wolf's neck, gentle, steady, impossibly calm. The wolf exhaled, a sound like relief. The crowd stared, frozen in disbelief. And just as the forest went silent again, the woman opened her eyes. Something dangerous, something powerful, flickered in them. Not a threat. The stranger leaned over the wolf, her breath steady, her hands unwavering. Ranger Holt stood behind her like a soldier awaiting orders. One man whispered, "Tattoo Corps? Aren't they a myth?" Holt shook his head slowly. "No, they're not a myth. They're the highest level wildlife responders in the country. They only appear when things are life or death. And that tattoo," he exhaled shakily, "that's their insignia." The crowd stared at her wrist, the ink of an ancient wolf sigil wrapped in vines, denoting someone who had once run rescue missions. Most people never survived. Someone the wilderness itself respected. The woman pressed her ear gently to the wolf's chest. "His heart is weak, but still fighting." She glanced at Holt. "Did anyone check the trail behind him?" "No," he said. People were afraid to approach. Her eyes hardened. "That fear cost us time." The crowd lowered their heads, ashamed. She moved to the wolf's broken leg, assessing the damage with precise care. "This isn't a natural injury. Something chased him." The forest rustled, a warning carried by the wind itself. She looked to Holt. "Bring my kit." He hurried, returning with a weathered satchel marked with the same sigil as her tattoo. The crowd watched as she slid splints beneath the wolf's leg, wrapped it tight, then pressed an herbal solution along the wound. The wolf whimpered. "I know," she whispered. "Hold on a little longer." When she lifted her hand, her palm was covered in the animal's blood, but her expression never changed. She was used to this. A sudden crack echoed through the trees. The wolf jerked violently, eyes wide with terror. The woman stood instantly, body shifting from rescuer to protector. Ranger Holt reached for his tranquilizer rifle. "What is it?" someone whispered. The woman answered without looking back. "Whatever chased him." A low growl rolled from the shadows, deeper, darker, angrier than any wolf. Something big circled the clearing. Branches snapped, leaves trembled. A musky, predatory scent drifted through the cold air. The crowd panicked. "Is that a bear? Is it coming here? We need to run." The woman raised her hand, silencing the chaos. "No one moves," she said calmly. "No one screams. You'll trigger it." The growling grew louder. Holt whispered, "Do you think it followed the blood trail?" "No," she replied. "It followed him." She didn't elaborate, but the truth rippled like electricity. The wolf hadn't been running from nature. He'd been running from something far worse, and she had faced it before. The creature in the trees lunged. A massive dark shape burst from the brush. People shrieked. The wolf tried to rise on his broken leg, desperate to protect the woman kneeling beside him. But she was faster. She stepped in front of him, arms wide, voice strong. "Enough!" The word rang like thunder. The charging beast skidded to a halt, confused, startled. Holt fired a tranquilizer that struck its shoulder. The animal roared, stumbled, then collapsed heavily into the ferns. Silence. The woman dropped to her knees, heart pounding. The crowd stared at her like she had stopped a storm with her bare hands. The wolf gazed up at her, trembling. She touched her forehead gently to his. "You're safe," she whispered. "Nobody will hurt you again." For the first time since morning, his breathing steadied. Ranger Holt radioed for emergency wildlife transport. A medical team arrived with stretchers, blankets, and equipment. The crowd parted respectfully, no longer mocking, no longer afraid, humbled into silence. As the wolf was lifted, the woman placed a calming hand on his chest. His eyes fluttered peacefully. A child whispered, "Miss, are you leaving?" She smiled faintly. "I was never here to stay." Holt approached her. "You disappeared 5 years ago. Everyone thought you were gone." She adjusted her sleeve to cover the tattoo. "I only return when the forest calls." He nodded with deep respect. "You saved him." She glanced at the wolf being carried into the transport truck. "No," she said softly. "He saved himself. I just listened." As she walked back into the woods, the crowd watched her figure fade between the trees, swallowed by mist. The forest seemed to exhale, relieved, grateful. A woman murmured, "I judged the wolf before I ever saw his pain." An older man whispered, "And we judged her before we understood who she was." Ranger Holt let out a long breath. "Fear makes us blind," he said. "But compassion lets us see." The wind rustled through the treetops, almost like a voice echoing her final message. "Every creature cries the same in pain. Only some of us choose to hear it."